David Robbins, and I'm the associate professor here at State University teaching in the User Experience Design program. And I welcome you to UX Connect. And this is a speaker series that is sponsored by Kent State University User Experience Design program, Information Architecture Institute, and to provide an open forum for ideas to be shared and discussed among professionals and students in the user experience design field. Presentations by past speakers and get information about the series and propose talk of your own if you like at uxconnect.wordpress.com. You can tweet at uxconnect and please the hashtag uxconnect to tweet us. So, see if I can my computer. All right, so the way UX Connect works, it's we do it on the first and third Mondays at noon Eastern time, and speaker speaks for about 30 to 40 minutes, and the remainder we leave for Q&A. And WebEx chat for questions and direct your questions to everyone in chat so that everybody can see the questions that you're asking. And beyond that, I'm also the speaker today, so I'm introducing myself. I probably should have found somebody to introduce me because introducing myself is a little strange, but I'll do it anyway. I'm a PhD in information science from the University of North, and my research is in information architecture and visualization and stuff, and interaction with information systems. And most of my published work is users' interaction with information-seeking structures. And I've been teaching information architecture since 2000. I was teaching at the University of Pittsburgh then. I came to Kent State in 2004, and I've done presentations in a number of places. I'm Klein. I'm Dave Robbins, by the way. And apologies to Dan for this is not rendered of him. This week, I'm going to talk about the design of the Kent State UX program. I remind you that use WebEx chat for questions and address them to everyone. And you'll be moved by the host to avoid random background noise. Okay? And let's go ahead and get started. I wanted to talk about the design of the Kent State UX program. And I wanted to give a lot of credit to Karl Fast, who's my colleague here at the university at Kent State University. We had a lot of discussions over the years since we've both been here, and this is the result of those discussions. So I want to give full credit to Karl. The two of us have worked together quite a bit on this. What this about is I'm going to go into the background of how we got started on using the design process that we did for the curriculum, and how it works for our target audience. So we're going to go a few, basically these three directions here. So the ground is, about years ago, we were thinking about, we had to move the curriculum online in order to expand our and so jumping the gun, and I was just going talking to people and saying, hey, would you like to create a course for us? And just propose a course, develop it, teach it, and we'll add into our list of that people can take. So when you do it that way, then you end up with this hodgepodge of courses. And so and we at the same time we were introduced to some new ideas and methods in online instruction coming from a group that we have internally here at Kent State University, which is the online learning team, and they were with us, and so we got started this information begin to rethink how we're going to go about this. We decided to practice what we were preaching. So if we're going to create rethink our online our curriculum in the going online, then we go back to the whiteboard, work like this ourselves, and so we work with instructional designers who are kind of their methods to UX and only focused on pedagogy. So this group here has been instrumental in helping us out with the design, not only of the courses, but with the curriculum. So I give full credit to them as well. And to that, we began to think together as designers, and that an essential act of our profession is crafting of curriculum and learning experiences to meet specific purpose, which is, I mean, that's user experience design right there. We are also designers to diagnose student needs and to teaching and to enable us, our students and others, to determine whether we meet our goals. So there's an evaluation thing that we're going to get to. So we also, Karl and I made some decisions about what we were and what we were not. We realized with 2 faculty members teaching and design curriculum that we couldn't do everything to everyone. So we made some conscious decisions about what we were and what we are not. So if you look at this this now older model by Jesse James Garrett, but still a pretty good sort of what it is that we do in this field. Certain things here that we definitely do not do, and one is visual design. Certainly, one of them is interaction design. Now, I asked, how can you have a user experience design program without interaction design? And I think that's a legitimate question, but we can do so many things with what we have, and so we decided to what we're going to do very well. And so we're going to have research. We're going to have solid ability to create functional specifications and content requirements and information architecture and information design, navigation, and sorts of things. And that's the area that we're going to concentrate on. Because we come School of Library and Information Science, we grow out of that sort of thinking, and UXD program that's rooted in information, structure, and content. And so we get right up to it. Now we're working on the ability to other programs on campus and communication design, for example. They have an interaction design component that could do this. So as we move along, we're hoping to have that in this as well. We decided 3 years to embark on a design process for this program, kind of like real design. And that's exactly what we were trying to do. And so we went through, not that these deliverables are the most important thing, but the process that goes into creating these deliverables is the important thing. We think through who are our people that we are trying to attract to this program, and who are our competitors, or what's going on out there, what's the landscape like. And so getting together a common vision of what experience design is and how we think about it, and what is curriculum currently, and how to design another one. And so once we decided those things, we could then move into curriculum maps and flows and enrollment projections and all those kinds of things. So I'm going to go through most of these things and sort of give you an idea of what thinking was to what we currently have. Personas, this is, over time we have just collected data on the people who've been through our program, and we've come up with basically, beyond the specific types of people we have, all these people have options beyond school. They have work, family, they come to a certain geographical area, they can't move to stay for a year and take our program, a year and a half, and then hope they'd have to quit a job, come here to camp, and then another job. The job specs are good. Their experience design. In 2008 or 2009 was going to quit any job that they had. So we were keeping that in mind. They're learners, and they're on some sort of transition from one type of job to another. Maybe they're really in this field, sort of, but they want to move more into it, or maybe in another field and want to move to where we are in user experience design. But there's some transition going on. We have four different types of people that have come into our program predominantly. One is the visual designer who has been working in the print medium or maybe web medium, but to get more into the deeper structures of information architecture, to their ability to do this work on visual design. And I don't mean to be demeaning by surface work. I'm talking in the layers, the one presented by Jesse James Garrett in that model I showed earlier. These people who have maybe usually when people come out of a visual design background, they have a lot of visual design skills, but they also HTML and CSS because those things weren't offered when they were in school. Then we have more technical type of a person. So we have Joe, the database developer here, and it could be anybody from a computer science background to some sort of technical background. And the typical story that is, I keep developing these systems. I keep getting complaints about the interactive nature of the systems and how people using them. Got to be more to life than just putting stuff that people hate. And I want to figure out how to make better images for people. Then there's this sort of almost comes from a his background. How fell into web design. They've either taught themselves how to do this, or they have been able to get a job in which that became part of their work on a website, and get more involved in this also. But I've seen enough people because with a liberal arts education, no particular for this, but they fell into it along the way, worked at it in a number of years and want to improve the skills involved. And then the final one is a technical writer. You get people who came out of to write or thing, and these tend to be people who are really interested in content. So strategy comes into this, and these are the kind of people who tend to go into content strategy as specialization. So student characteristics that we value, it's hard to look for these in applications, but we can spot it along the way and sort of work with people to try to either increase these skills or characteristics. But I think by and large, if you talk to a lot of user experience designers or information architects who've been out in the field, well, these are the kinds of things that we see them asking for, and so for these in our students as well. And that we look for curiosity. Look at something and was it designed this way? How could it be designed better? What was the thinking that went behind that? So those are the kind of curiosity aspects that we look for people to exist. Look for people who like current gadgets, because the current technology is where you, if you live with it, you're more able to design it as well, I think. And that's at least, I don't need data to support that notion, but that's what we think. We look for people who annoy their friends and family with rants about bad design, because it shows that they care about good design. Now, it also shows, a personality flaw, but it could be that that those of us who go into a hotel and say, how come the racks are steps away from the shower and there's no place to hang your towel next to the shower? That's that's the kind of characteristics that we look for. Also, we just look for passion. So I have a couple of gratuitous sports images because sports people tend to be passionate, but we want people to be passionate, and this is the characteristic that I see over and over again in our best students, and then our students in general come into this. They really want to be user experience designers, and they do look at the world around lens. We want critical thinkers. Stop and think about things when they run into a problem. Do they recognize assumptions? So, we proceed through life with lots of assumptions about things, and we don't even question them. And we're questioning all of our assumptions. for most of them, and to be able to evaluate things, draw a conclusion, make a plan of action on the basis of the way we look at stuff. And we thick skin, because when we critique things, when we grade things, we're trying to be personally attacking anyone, but this is a necessary skill to be able to not take things personally, but to take it as a learning opportunity. It's going to happen a million times throughout their work life, and so we don't want any getting offended and upset over things. Design process. We have some competitors. Mostly it's interactive design, fine arts. There's some HCI, but that tends to be more academic and professional. One of the things that we stress in our program is that we are not preparing people to go into academia and PhD programs. We're preparing them to go into the work world. And the next things like, how do we design a research course? So we're looking to generalize to a population. We're looking to solve problems. That's why we do research. So that's one example of our thinking. HCI, I think, takes that more academic research approach. We take a more professional, industrial work approach. So there's names for things here, but there's places that offer these. Most of them offer only courses and not full programs. Some of those on the list I just do offer full programs, interaction design programs, but they cater to a slightly different audience. They tend to come out of fine arts programs or BSc arts programs. We're more of the information side, but we still move into the experience side. One of the things that I do with students in the first introductory course that I teach in this program is to get them to look at other fields that are related to this, such as interaction design, service design, and instructional design. And how do they compare and contrast with what their conception of the user experience design field is? And because I think there's so much overlap, sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference, and you have to be in it for a while to be able to tell the difference. And it's called. So it's critical thinking to be able to look at other fields and figure out to ours. Then we sat down and we figured, what is user experience design anyway? Let's kind of try to this and I thought that about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even before that, it takes a while to get things done in academia. We changed our content within the information architecture and knowledge management program. We changed our concentration to user experience design because we figured that it was the best umbrella term for things that have bits and pieces of all these things underneath that umbrella in this slide. And it isn't going to be a perfect term, and who's what it's going to be 5 or 10 years from now, but it seems like it had sticking power. And it seems to be something that is recognized in industry as being a needed service within and give people competitive edges. So, we chose that, and we'll keep evaluating it as time goes on. So let's with this design. So from that, no matter which one of these fields you're in, Karl sat down and Karl came up with this article that had all kinds of different designs in it, design process models. And so I don't know, there had to be 50 design process models that this person sort of did a literature review of people considered to be the best design process. And we gleaned that basically if you're presented with a design problem, you have to learn about it, you have to apply that learning to some sort of understanding, and then you can even begin the imaginative process of design. And all along you have to evaluate what you're doing and to communicate or inform your constituent stakeholders of what. So really user experience designers work in teams usually, and the team aspect is really important to conduct research to learn about the user's problems in the context of projects, and tell that research to understand how to proceed with a project. So they develop design tenets or develop personas, that sort of thing, to help to guide their design. So with understanding, they imagine and design solutions to problems, and then create their designs with usability studies and other tools, and finally they inform stakeholders of research designs through reports and other deliverables. They're also informing engineers along the way too of how to build products. So what we did was we sort of played around with the letters on this, and we came up with a more memorable acronym, which is Lumen. All of our courses have to fit in this model. They have to support this overarching frame that we've developed. And there's another way to look at it. So we just kind of put it in sort of a process model, and the key thing has to happen all. Not say that these other things don't happen all along as well, but communication has to be a big. So I can show you here how we kind of fit all of our courses into this model. So we have two up at the top here. We have two introductory courses, and I'll get more into that in a minute. And then all the other courses, the 10 below, 12 courses in total at 36 hours. All the 10 below fit the spec of the Lumen work that we've developed here. And to that point, though, we first did a little bit of a curriculum audit, and this was the typical academic curriculum audit, where our curriculum situation where we have some courses and then allow students to take electives, and we also to add some other things too that weren't in there, and they helped us a lot because then we're starting to build these into other courses. Now we're not getting everything. We are piece by piece. There's no way you're going to get a master's we're going to have everything that somebody might imagine need by the time they get out, but we could give it a shot. And, but be judicious in what we add to courses and what we add to the curriculum in order to keep it coherent and tight and manageable for 2 full-time faculty members and a group of adjuncts to teach. So we're not. I want to reiterate, we're not trying to be everything for everybody, but what we're trying to do is do what we do very well. So I had to kind of scrap that model where we have courses and electives. We went to this and we said, okay, we've got to have 2 courses where we enter the curriculum into the entire profession, both in terms of the conceptual nature of it and into its practice. So what you do in the profession. And we decided to relay every course in the remaining 10 courses we'll offer on a rotational basis that I'll show you later. We had to relate every one of those to some area of this Lumen model. Help on the design process, so the imagine phase, we have courses, courses that hit the learning pretty hard. But this is the way we're approaching the design of this curriculum. So, if I'm a student and I want to take this curriculum, so it's how it's going to take me, how 12 courses, when I'm able to take them. This is a little bit different than a lot of academic programs. Let me see if this works in terms of showing. And I want you to remember that this is designed for busy people that have things, work, life, that balance all of this. Okay. So what we've decided that we have them take one course at a time, two courses so that they can sequentially, three cohorts a year in the spring and summer. Next year, we'll offer three entry points. Each our degree take 12 courses over a 2-year period of time. So it's like we've got each semester's 15 weeks. We have 2 courses per semester. We have one in the first semester, and we have week 8, and then in weeks 8 through 15. So every semester, the 2 introductory courses are taught. So so you in fall, spring, or summer, be guaranteed to be able to get the 2 introductory courses, and then you can jump down into the carousel and go wherever it is. So if this, what this is that it would start, we would have so there's stairs here in the left column, and then within here there are 3 semesters, and here is broken down into 2 7-week sections, like I showed before. And each of the semester, you can take the introductory courses, and that goes on and on and on. And that starts in base with usability sequence and information architecture, and then content strategy, and then research, and then information technology, knowledge organization, and then it's okay. 2 years, you've got the one carousel, and then it starts again in the 3rd year. And then I'm going to show you how 3 cohorts move through this. Cohort enters in the 1st year, 1st semester, week or the 7-week session 1, and then they take this first one, and then they move right down into the carousel, and they take usability sequence, and then architecture, content strategy, research, and then that first part graduates. Okay, so but while they were doing this cohort comes in, also 1st year, but the 2nd semester taking the introductory courses, while cohort 1 is taking usability 1 and 2. Then drop down, and they're taking information architecture along with the 1st cohort. You see, there's 2 sections of information architecture, content strategy, and then those guys, the 2nd cohort, the Rose cohort, will take 1 and 2 as their last courses, and then they graduate. And while that's going on, the board comes in, and they do something similar. So I won't walk through those one at a time, but you see that now with 3 cohorts, and as we build each cohort of about to 25 people, they added sections for each cohort in all of these subsequent courses. We carousel. So, so of course, we sort of wireframed out what a course would look like, and this is a very general wireframe. We do have one of our principles in this thing. We have consistency from course in terms of look and feel, and in terms of the type of assessments and of outcomes that we'll encounter. So to enter into a 7-week course, I need to get work right away, and I need to know what's going on. I can't take 2 weeks to figure out how some professor has idiosyncratically course. Okay, these are pretty much asynchronous courses. There's not a whole lot of synchronous components to them, so students can do them anytime, anywhere. But they have to be somewhat consistent from course, from topic to topic. That there can be creativity within that, but have to always keep in mind that students need to be able to quickly adjust from one course to another. You can't give a lot of time. So, we have things like the course starts, people introduce themselves to each other, short recorded lectures. We keep lectures down to 5 minutes. I mean, some might go a little long, but I go back and redo those. We know from research that not watch long lectures, and it's painful. I've tried it. I've tried Coursera courses where like 15 to 20 minutes, and that's deathly. You keep expecting people to long like that. They keep up. They just won't watch. So, we have a lot of meetings. We have discussions on the meetings. We have multiple choice quizzes because then that helps students self-assess where they are in terms of understanding of the reading. And then we projects do either every other week or every week, and do this on a very rhythmic basis. So you might some intermediate assignment due on Thursday for critique and discussion, and the final part on Sunday, for example. Most schools set up on that sort of a rhythm that helps students and instructors remain engaged in a course throughout a 7-week session. And because it's not easy to, this is one of the things that to promote engagement in a course is really an art. That's what we're working on to the best. We encourage a lot of communication with students throughout so not only in terms of volume, but in terms of timeliness. We get back to questions right away. So include things like, it's all based on this backward design process. So we start all of our courses, and I have to credit the online learning team with really drilling this into me. And it took me a while to figure this out on my own, just working with it, not on my own, but with them. But backward design starts both curricular level and at the course level. You have some big idea that you have that you want to get across, that you want people to come away with. And they usually be broken down into various components that constitute goals. So you have curriculum, you have course goals. And those are then broken down into learning outcomes, things that can be measured specifically. Did the student learn this? And then those outcomes then can be broken down into modules that are then so that the student moves through a course modularly, and the modules has learning outcomes in it that align with the course learning outcomes, align to the program learning outcomes. It has rubrics that help you measure. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they help you measure what the outcomes of the module met, and the outcomes of the course, and therefore the outcomes of the program. So it's a tightly aligned thing, and it's actually a beautiful thing to see in practice. It's really one of the coolest things that I've worked on. So so we try to have these elements in each course: as housekeeping, course overview, instructions, wrap-ups at the end of the course, learning modules, which include discussions and lectures and stories. I think people learn better by hearing stories, and that's where a lot of our subject matter experts that we hire to help us with either course content or to teach courses, that's where they're in, because they're in the field now, and they can really help students to understand what's going on in their world. Better things like stories and cases and lectures too. So this is for kind of self-assessment of projects, because projects, I think, help really solidify knowledge. I mean, you can't just read about something and get good. You have to, in the field, you really have to work at it. And then finally, we integrate all of that work into a portfolio. And what we don't have in place right now, but I hope to within a year, is portfolio review at the end of the curriculum. So you would in the concurrent taking the last two courses, you would do this portfolio review and get critiques both from your peers and from instructors. And so I have a set of mantras here that it's probably a little bit overwhelming, but as Karl and I try to remember what we're here for and why we're doing this. There's a lot about videos and giving students a toolkit that they things that they can, when they run problems, what can you reach in your bag and pull it out. Based perspective, and we have we just and build core with consistent experience from one to another. I want to build an inspiration library for students, or have them actually take that from their courses. Sketching is a big part of this. Send feedback. We want to be able to look at this field and respond to it in a lean, agile, and effective way. Deep learning over surface or strategic learning. We're not interested in just people learning enough to pass a quiz. We want people to integrate this into their thinking, and trying to promote intrinsic motivation rather than motion for grades or things. I mean, you're only going to get to be a good designer if you really own that own field, own design, not look for grades as your motivation. As ways of doing engaged, seductive course design, which that's a tough one. That's one that's going to be, we're going to be working on this for years. But I think that's great stuff in user experience design on this, like Anderson's work. And I think this thing is something we need to put into courses. And we want to promote those in practice. In practice, they're going on. We're in academia. I have a general understanding of what's going on, but I think the more we're here in academia, the less we are tied to that practice. And I want to see really input from subject matter experts. All right, so to kind of sum this up, we've used design processes similar to UXD to improve our curriculum, and we used a model that's the conceptual framework of the program, model. And those busy working professionals to complete years, they'll know exactly what they'll be taking over those years, and they can focus intensely on one course at a time. I wish I would have for that and I was in school. And portfolio-based outcomes. This up to questions right now. I see a couple on there, and with one from Keith to everyone. Keith, how are you doing? Later, he says, did you consider using user experience without design as a title for the program? For example, some content strategy is strategy, and that is different from. Yeah, I mean, no, I didn't actually consider that, but you make a good point. I don't actually. If we would have user experience design, I might have cut us out of some hot water on turf battles on academics, but we didn't, and so far we're okay with it. I think a good thing to consider, and maybe over the years we may change a little bit. If you do changes in the you have to up as far as the state and getting major changes done, but something like minor on the name of the program shouldn't be too bad, and that help us remain agile. But anything to add to that, I would. But I have not actually considered that. Keith, other than, sorry, my eyes are not that great. I'm seeing a small chat window here. Did you think of pairing other than 1 and 2, for example, ability 1 paired with IA1, later with IA2? I see pros and cons to that type of pairing instead of 1 and 2 paired at the same semester each time. Quite understand, but let me just discuss how these pairings work. Let me pull that slide up where we have some of those. For example, right here, there's a lot of issues to this, and I think I'm not sure if this is what part of what you're asking. Particular order here is necessary optimal. So if we were able to bring people in once every 2 years, we could walk them through what we might consider to be the optimal order to learn this pen. And but we can't do that, and so if people in this model right here, and while the search courses, in the design courses, and then the usability courses, and then the IT courses, this here might not be the optimal, but it's probably as close as we could get. And I'm thinking that people could take this and kind of, as long as we continue to reiterate where any of these courses fit into this design model, that's what our hope is to make of the program. Traditional academic program is I took this course, I took that course, I took this course, and none of those courses ever discuss how this to overall program framework goals. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So we're hoping that even if they get out of order, which the fact that somebody is in this particular order right here, and this cohort is coming in, they're starting with information architecture, whereas these guys started with ability. It's that may seem goofy, and it may even be goofy. I'm not sure, but it's us and the students to understanding of where these things fit into the overall model and why they're important, and not necessarily to kind of walk through any sort of linear process. Now, I want to make sure, though, that I'm actually addressing your question. Usually 1 and 2. Centric constraints seems acceptable, and of all 12 would be different, but dealing with the constraints, exactly. It is. We do have some constraints in terms of making sure that we have a steady flow of students coming through, while at the same time trying to offer the best pedagogical frame. And so we're walking that line between being fiscally real and being pedagogically vibrant. That's probably it. Yes, that's what we're trying to do, and being able to relate all of this stuff to Lumen model. That's the value of that Lumen model. So that anytime you're in any particular class and doing any assignment, you should be able to point to that and say why it's important. Why are we doing this assignment? We don't want busy work. We want something that's meaningful to that overall framework that we feel is critical to design. So I'm currently in the MLIS program, specializing in museum studies, and my advisor recommended that I take UX classes for my elective. Do you think UX classes 1, 2, 0, and 1? Yeah, I think they would, and I think those are the two introductory classes. And as a matter of fact, what we're we're working on getting those to be the prerequisites for every other course in the program, so that people understand where each of those courses. Um, so that you end up taking a usability class. Why is that important in design, right? And but that framework is established in those two entry courses, so you would be good. And also, you can tell Kirsten that you should just switch over to UX design anyway. I'm only joking. Only joking. So, yeah, Kirsten will be in my office in like 2 seconds with a knife. So, yeah, and that gets to my point with Corey, is that those classes are more than just intros to the program. Definitely, they're not just. I wouldn't want to spend 2 classes just introducing people to the program itself, but to the field, and that yeah, it would be like somebody from, like in Corey's situation, come over and take a pretty good understanding of what user experience design is about, what's behind it, they do. If you took those 2 courses, I think it would help in museum studies, because I know that Kirsten stresses how to, if you're going to do an exhibit, that exhibit, who are you doing that exhibit for? There's a tremendous amount of design in that, and I think it'd be really helpful. And I think Kirsten is right that UX would help with people who are interested in that. In studies or librarianship or a lot of things. Exactly, I think that's right. Yes, all of this is Arun Kumar asks if all of it are available online. It is a purely online program, and we did that so that we could extend the reach of the program. We have run pretty successfully here with in Northeast Ohio, but we're probably limited in what we could do with it in North Ohio, and there's tremendous opportunity on both coasts. There's a lot of people that we're getting into the program as a result of moving on. Chicago area, we're seeing people, Texas, Florida, and in both coasts. So on. And from Marcia Zhang to everyone, we had 1 module of cultural heritage informatics course, and students are really engaged with UXD concepts and using this for libraries, archives. Yeah, I think Marcia wanted to start, and maybe Marcia, did you ever list that librarianship or UXD librarianship? Because there are now user experience librarians who looking at when you find systems and services in libraries at both university, public libraries, special libraries, who are you? How do you design systems and services to fit that? I thought that was a great idea that Marcia and Ian came up with, and I'm glad to hear that that people are excited about those principles. And yeah, grading up in the spring. They're going to have guide sheets in the spring for that user experience librarians. There asks, is there a chance to finish the course earlier? Not really, especially once we establish our rather complicated series of set of prerequisites. Well, bad. I'm making a little bit of a joke here. So you could try to finish earlier than 2 years, but if you look at this program, I don't know how you could do it, because you have to take these 2 here. We're only offering these courses at any given time. In this particular semester, only the 3 courses, and Information Architecture and Information Architecture 2 will be offered. The 2 introductory courses and Content Strategy 1 and 2 will be offered. So because of limitations that we have in and other things, this is what we've decided is the best way to present this curriculum. We can only offer so many courses at a time, and we are offering it to people who are working full time anyway in this or related programs. Then that's all people can handle. Now, if you want something where you can go full time to school, then about that, and I could recommend maybe some other programs, or the fact that it will take 2 years. But that's kind of how that's what we're doing. We're trying to make sure that that target constituency, they're so really a 2-year program. And I know we do have people in it now who are scrambling to try to get more stuff done because they are courses. But it's kind of unique in this way that it's set for those people, and that's how it's going to go. From Dan to everyone, in the new carousel, are you still offering various workshops? Yeah, every now and then somebody does offer workshops. I leave it up to people to propose those. And here in the summer, Ben Woods offered a couple of them last summer. And so yeah, we would have that. And those could be online or face-to-face, depending on how the instructor wants to do it. If one thing Dave brings up a good point. One thing we lose in this online curriculum is the ability to work in usability lab. So we could, in the future, design workshops to where we bring people in to have in the usability lab on that. There's we have an eye tracker in there, but I don't want to overplay the usability lab thing because people get all excited and nervous because they, okay, so if I take this, we don't get to go to lab. Well, most places where you go to work, they have a usability labs. They're out there. There are some, but they certainly don't have eye tracking. You can learn good usability without those things. A lot of arguments being made to that they go out in the field and doing usability with very minimal tool set can be effective or more effective than being out of the lab. I mean, it's have, but it's not a must. So I always get people who are like, they feel like their life isn't complete without having gone into a usability lab, and I think that's a misconception that we probably need to work on. But anyway, to make sure that I answer Damon's question, yes, there are workshops, and I'm going to encourage people to continue to develop and offer workshops on all kinds of topics, not just usability. Okay. Would it be okay if I took 60120 one semester and yes, you could do that, depending on the availability of space. So if we have full cohorts coming in every time, it's kind of tough to set people in. But usually somebody drops and there's something that happens, and so we can wait lists on these courses. But the cohorts have been pretty full so far. We're on our second semester, and the third one for the spring is starting to fill up. So, but there's and you can slot 1 or 2 people in to occur. So possible. Yeah, you guys have a carousel of courses in there. So, I just have to talk about it and see what we have, but it's probably possible. Do we have questions? If there are questions, I'm going to go ahead and I got one little still to say right here at the end if I there's one. Jessica Powell, for somebody who already has an MLS or these class available to take individually, if you're not a matriculated student, you can take up to 2 of them, I think, as a guest. without applying to the program and getting in. I think they're but they have those set aside in the course. So in other words, like I was saying to Corey a minute ago, it's on a case basis whether I can get people into the course depending on how full they are. So we do allow, the university allows people to come in and get staff. Okay, and you can call me and talk to me. Anybody can call me and talk to me, email me, and we'll set up a time to talk about these things today. But I want to thank you all for attending. It's been fun to talk about this. I love talking about it. We're excited about our program as it's evolving here. You have a presentation idea. Any of you who have presentation ideas, you can go to this particular URL, uxconnect.wordpress.com. And the next talk, let's see, this is, Kate Wilhelm on January 6th. Start UX circuit training for any fitness level by Kate Wilhelm, and January 6th at noon. And I'm looking forward to hearing that. And that's for today. Thank you for attending.